there are a lot of different reasons that a brand may start that review.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't think that it's readily apparent all of the costs that are involved
Yes.
truly in that review. So could you take us through the cost of an agency review that might be under the surface or just not on marketers' radars?
And as I address the question of cost of review, I must mention that there is another type of review that I didn't mention in the prior four examples that is mandated by the company. So there are a number of
I got you.
companies that have this 3-year mandate where procurement has to start a review. Sometimes marketing doesn't even want it. The marketing leadership doesn't want it. It's like, we're happy with the agency, but every 3 years, it's a
It's like
corporate policy,
exactly.
and we have
Due
to go through that
diligence.
process. So, but to your point, around the cost of reviews, it's quite significant. And they've been, actually, the ANA, again, in partnership with the 4As, conducted a study not so long ago, the cost of a pitch, that attempted at really trying to quantify how much of a review can cost. And the costs are significant, both on the client, but also on the agency side.
Yeah.
And I think the numbers came at about over $1 million, for a typical review where you have 3 agencies in the review. That's the average cost. So if you're doing it with the incumbent agency, it's actually a little bit higher. It's like 1.2. But we're looking at a $1 to $1.2 million for an average review. That's a cost, quite significant, right?
Yeah. I mean, then that's on top of, if you're doing this because maybe business isn't the greatest thing, that is a loss right
That's
there.
right.
That where is that coming back? Is this new relationship, or is the kind of fire you lit a $2.5 million revenue generating fire? That is kind of crazy. Back to the point of, we're dealing with people here. It kind of reminds me, in sports, there's something called arbitration, where a
Yeah.
player comes up and it's like, they and the team go, and it's like, well, we don't think we should pay you this much for the last year that you're here, and all of that stuff. But at the end of that, feelings can get hurt, and egos
Right.
bruised in a lot of that. So, like, is there a cost of maybe a superficial review where you just kind of wanted to suss it out, maybe negotiate down a price, but now the work is suffering or the relationship is suffering?
Well, there's a lot of applications, I guess, as you pointed out, to doing a review. Cost is one. There's also a significant amount of cost that's maybe hidden, or people don't necessarily factor in when they start the process, which is worth talking about. Duplication of agency fees. You are
Yeah.
terminating a relationship with one agency. The new agency is coming in. You obviously want them, ideally, to overlap a little bit so
You'd hope
people
so.
can transition the work. That's significant. That's a big cost.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously potentially delays in campaign work that may impact the performance of the work. There's a ramp up. Obviously, the new agency is going to take a little while to ramp up, train people, get them where they need to be. And the productivity is not going to be there, right? It's like people are like learning how to work together, how do we do this? But I think the biggest risk of reviews, once you make that decision, is a failed new relationship. Because when you move away, like the expression, the green's always, the grass is always greener.
Exactly.
It's eventually you hope for a better outcome. You hope for a better relationship. And what if it doesn't?
Yeah.
The cost is 10 times greater than
Yes.
maybe what you even invested in actually conducting that review. So there's a lot of kind of warning signs and indicators that, you have to be very careful when you start a review. You better know what you're doing. You better know you're committed to see it through. And you have to know instinctively, but also factually, that you're going to get a better relationship overall.